8 sitting United States senators, their phone records, pulled, without their knowledge, without their consent, and the Attorney General of the United States just admitted she can't even confirm whether she has copies of the subpoena applications used to do it. This is not a theory. This is what happened in that room.
Yes, Senator, I can't discuss anything regarding this.
You can't even tell me if you have copies?
I can't discuss any of this.
All right, when are you going to, General, when are you going to be able to discuss it? Secretary Howard Lutnick on October 1 gave an interview to the New York Post about Mr. Epstein. And he described Mr. Epstein as, quote, the greatest blackmailer ever, close quote. Have you reviewed that transcript of that interview?
I have not reviewed the transcript, but I saw the clip of it.
Okay. It appears that Secretary Lutnick was Mr. Epstein's next-door neighbor. In fact, their townhomes shared a wall. And the reporter that was talking to Mr. Lutnick, she asked how other prominent men could have been associated with Epstein when Mr. Lutnick could immediately sense that he was a, quote, pervert. And then Secretary Lutnick said, or rather the reporter said, did they see it and ignore it? Do you remember that from the interview?
I do.
And Commerce Secretary Lutnick said, no, they participated. General, welcome. Let's suppose that I'm appointed special counsel at the Department of Justice, and I go to the telecommunication companies, the phone companies. Let's single out AT&T, and I say, look, I know you're busy, but I want to see a copy of the phone records of a sitting United States senator. They're not going to just give them to me, are they?
No, Senator, of course not.
In fact, they're probably going to ask me what planet I just parachuted in from, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
They're going to tell me to come back with a subpoena, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. What do I have to show in that subpoena to get those phone records of a sitting? Did I mention it was a sitting United States senator? I can't remember. What do I have to show to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator?
Yes, Senator, there were actually 8 sitting United States senators.
Yeah, I heard that.
And you would have to have cause.
I'm sorry, what do I have to show?
You would have to have cause to get the
Good
subpoena.
cause or probable cause?
Probable cause.
Okay. Probable cause, or if it's a subpoena deuces take 'em, good cause, to show what?
You would need good cause for a subpoena ducis tecum, and what you would have to show is that you believed a crime had been committed, or there was a possibility of a crime, or that could lead to other crimes. We frequently, in criminal enterprises, subpoena cell phones.
By the sitting United States senator?
Senator, they would have to have believed you were part of a criminal conspiracy, is my understanding.
Notice what just happened. Kennedy didn't arrive with accusations. He arrived with the law itself, probable cause, a judge's signature, a sitting senator's constitutional protections. He walked Bondi through every legal requirement that should have protected these 8 people, and she confirmed every single one of them. That foundation is about to matter.
Would a judge have to sign off on it? On the subpoena?
Yes, Senator. Well, for a subpoena ducis tecum, Jack Smith probably took it straight to the judge.
Now, the phone companies, particularly their general counsel, if they're worried about civil liability, even with a subpoena to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator. Did I mention it was a sitting United States senator?
Yes, Senator.
The general counsel for that phone company, let's say AT&T, they have the right to seek to quash that subpoena, don't they?
Phone companies frequently do that.
Yeah. And a smart general counsel for that phone company is going to call the sitting United States senator and say, would you like to weigh in on this? Would you like me to quash the subpoena? We're talking about invading someone's privacy here by a sitting United States senator. Could the general counsel for the phone company do that?
Well, Senator, if they believe that a crime could have been committed, they could not tip off the person who committed the crime. Again, I can't comment on details of this particular case.
I'm just asking you theoretically.
I've never seen you commit a crime, Senator Kennedy.
But let's suppose, okay, they didn't want to tip off the sitting United States senator. But the phone company and the general counsel for the phone company, or companies, if there were more than one involved, could say, you know, this is serious as an aneurysm. This is serious as 4 heart attacks and a stroke. This is a sitting United States senator. So general counsel would likely advise the CEO, well, you need to file a motion to quash. The telephone companies could have contested those subpoenas, could they not?
Hypothetically, yes. I can't talk about the facts of this particular case.
We're talking hypothetical.
Senator, subpoenas are issued all the time through phone companies working with the general counsel.
But they can file a motion to quash.
They could, yes.
Yeah.
In any case.
And if they should have filed a motion to quash, and a reasonable person would have filed a motion to quash, because this is a sitting United States senator, and they didn't file a motion to quash, they would incur civil liability, wouldn't they?
Senator, typically phone companies follow a subpoena from a United States attorney.
I know they do, but they don't have to.
They could challenge it, Senator.
Yeah. And if they don't challenge it, they better have a damn good reason. Right? Right?
Senator, I can't talk about the facts of this particular case.
This is just a hypothetical.
In general, hypothetically, Senator, maybe they didn't recognize any of the names of the 8 sitting United States senators.
Hypothetically.
That was a joke.
Or maybe they should have gone to Amazon and buy some testicles online. Instead of just saying, sure, I'll just show you the phone records of a sitting United States senator on the basis of an administrative subpoena. Now, do you have copies of the subpoena applications for
yes,
these
Senator,
8?
Senator, I can't discuss anything regarding this.
You can't even tell me if you have copies?
I can't discuss any of this.
All right, when are you going to, General, when are you going to be able to discuss it?
I can't discuss whether there is or is not a pending investigation,
I understand,
Senator. This
but
was
let's
just
assume
brought to light
if
by
there is a
Director
pending
Patel.
investigation, I don't want this to get swept under the rug, okay? Because I think you're going to get pushed back from all quarters. I think the telecommunication companies are going to be all over you like a bad rash because they've got liability here for just turning over these records when they knew what was going on. I think some FBI agents may have some liability here. I think a special counsel might have some liability here. If I were your special counsel and you had appointed me and I wanted to get the records of a sitting United States senator, is that something you would expect me to tell you as Attorney General of the United States?
They better have.
Yeah.
And
do we know in this instance of the 8 sitting United States senators if they told Attorney General Garland?
Senator, I just learned about this very recently, as did Director Patel, and we cannot discuss the details. I don't know many of the details.
Well, maybe we ought to get Attorney General Garland here. Do you know if the special counsel told FBI Director Wray? Is that something? Let me put it another way. If I were your special counsel and you were the director of the FBI and I'm trying to get the phone records of a sitting United States senator, did I mention it was a sitting United States senator? Is that something
couple
that,
times.
that you would expect me to tell you as director of the FBI?
In general, I would believe the FBI would help execute the subpoenas
Yeah.
to the businesses.
Okay, I want to switch to another subject in the 12 minutes that I have left, since everybody else got to go over. I've got to ask you about this, General. Secretary Howard Lutnick on October 1 gave an interview to the New York Post about Mr. Epstein. And he described Mr. Epstein as, quote, the greatest blackmailer ever, close quote. Have you reviewed that transcript of that interview?
I have not reviewed the transcript, but I saw the clip of it.
Okay. It appears that Secretary Lutnick was Mr. Epstein's next door neighbor. In fact, their townhomes shared a wall. And the reporter that was talking to Mr. Lutnick, she asked how other prominent men could have been associated with Epstein when Mr. Lutnick could immediately sense that he was a, quote, pervert. And then Secretary Lutnick said, or rather the reporter said, did they see it and ignore it? Do you remember that from the interview?
I do.
And Commerce Secretary Lutnick said, no, they participated. And then Commerce Secretary Lutnick goes on to say, quote, that's what his MO was. You know, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was a video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever, blackmailed people. That's how he had money, end quote. Is that true?
Senator, as our July memo said, we did not uncover evidence. This case has gone through 3 administrations, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I know that, Pam. But have you interviewed Secretary Lutnick?
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after this interview?
Senator, if Howard Lutnick wants to speak to the FBI and if Director Patel wants to speak to Howard Lutnick, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's sit with what just happened in that room, because it didn't just expose one failure, it exposed a pattern. Senator Kennedy spent the first part of that exchange building something most people in Washington hope you forget about: the law, not theories, not politics, the actual legal architecture that is supposed to protect the privacy of elected representatives. Probable cause, a judge's signature, the right to contest, the right to be notified. Every single one of those protections exists for a reason, and every single one of them appears to have been bypassed for 8 sitting United States senators. When Kennedy asked Bondi if she even has copies of the subpoena applications, she didn't say no. She said she can't discuss it. That is not the same thing. A no means the documents don't exist. A refusal to confirm means the documents are radioactive. And then the phone companies. Kennedy's point there is precise, and it is devastating. These companies had the right to fight back. They had the right to file a motion to quash. They had the right to call the senators whose records were being demanded and ask if they wanted to contest it. They didn't do any of that. They handed over the records, and if they did that knowingly, they carry liability. Kennedy made sure that is now on the record. Think about what that actually means for a moment. We are not talking about the records of a suspected criminal. We are not talking about a known bad actor under active surveillance. We are talking about elected representatives of the American people. People who sit on oversight committees. People who are supposed to be the check on exactly this kind of institutional overreach. If their phone records can be pulled quietly, without a fight, without a motion to quash, without so much as a phone call to warn them, then the question isn't just about 8 senators. The question is about every single person in this country who assumed the law meant something. Because if the law doesn't protect them, it doesn't protect you either. But then the second part of that exchange, that's where the story blows wide open in a different direction entirely. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary of the United States, Epstein's literal next-door neighbor, shared a wall with the man. And in an interview with the New York Post, on record, he described Epstein as the greatest blackmailer who ever lived. He said prominent men didn't look the other way, they participated. He described the massage room. He described the video. He described the entire operation in plain language to a reporter. And the Department of Justice has not interviewed him. Not once. Bondi saw the clip. She did not read the transcript. She has not brought Lutnick in. And when Kennedy asked her directly whether they should, her answer was essentially, only if he wants to come in voluntarily. The sitting Commerce Secretary of the United States, who shared a wall with the most prolific alleged blackmailer in modern history and described his operation in detail to a newspaper, has not been asked a single question by the Department of Justice. 3 administrations have touched this case. 3. And the neighbor with the receipts has never been in a room with an investigator. That is not an oversight. That is a choice. And it raises a question that nobody in that hearing room was willing to answer out loud. If you know where the receipts are, if you know who has them, who saw them, who lived next door to the man who collected them, and you still don't make the call, don't schedule the interview. Don't pull the transcript. What exactly are you protecting? Because it isn't justice, and it isn't the victims. The victims have been waiting through 3 administrations already. Kennedy closed by saying he doesn't want this swept under the rug. But the real question is, how many times this particular rug has already been lifted and lowered again before the cameras arrived? The subpoena applications are hidden. The Lutnick interview hasn't happened. The telecom companies handed over senator-level phone records without a fight. And the Attorney General of the United States cannot tell a sitting senator whether she even has the paperwork that made all of it possible. Sound money, limited government, actual accountability. These aren't radical demands. But apparently in Washington, they're treated like classified information. Drop a comment below. If your phone records were pulled without your knowledge and the AG couldn't even confirm the paperwork existed, would you call that transparency? Or would you call it exactly what it looks like?